morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, LinkedIn Live. We are live. We're live, Madeline McQueen. Please do not swear.
Good morning, LinkedIn.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah,
I've been trying to get you.
Why I am not in the right place.
I'm trying to. I know it's in reverse.
It's the opposite. So you've always got to move. Good morning, LinkedIn. Lovely to be here. As Cheryl knows, this is not my time of day. I only did it for her. Don't ask me to do this time of morning. I did it for her.
I feel honoured. Madeline, I feel like I've been trying to get you on here it's been at least a year, I reckon.
It's been a while.
Maybe.
Yeah. It has been a while.
But it's good to have you. Thank you. I'm honoured that you have graced me with your presence at 8:30 in the morning.
After 8:30, it's like, yes, you're absolutely right.
And good morning to anybody that's listening. If you're listening, please say good morning in the chat. If you're listening live, say good morning in the chat. And if you're watching it on the replay, thank you for watching this back, because we're going to be talking about women, what stops women from shining brightly. I've got the amazing Madeline McQueen, entrepreneur, speaker, exec coach, business leader, thought leader. Your background, sales and biz development expert. I feel that probably a lot of people don't know that you used to do your thing kind of in the corporate space, before you were coaching women how to do their thing, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. My background originally is corporate sales. And I say sales because I've done a whole range of sales, but truly loved sales in IT. So I used to sell literally the entire remit to corporates, close some big deals back in the day. Sold. Oh, Joanne's it. Sorry.
Good morning.
I'm sure there's the age where it's like shiny things. Closed. This is like back late 90s, early 2000s, closing deals at the 2 million mark. I sold the most Toshiba laptops in the country, got sent on an all expenses paid trip to Dubai with David. All of the things I did, and it's really funny because I never heard you talk about it. And that was back then, and then managed responsible for like 14 million revenue. So did it, done it, been there.
Amazing. And there's it's really interesting, sales. There's something about people that can selling is a really key skill in terms of, being able to influence other people and persuade other people, even when it comes to yourself, right? There's something about that. Hello, good morning. Hello from Sydney. I'm so glad to have caught this live. So you're in Sydney. You're in the weekend already. So so I hope you've it's the weekend, right? It's Friday evening if you're in Sydney. So Dawn, thank you so much for joining us from Sydney. Joanne, that made me smile so much. Joanne, it's so nice to have you join us
always
this morning. Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to be talking about, so tell us, so from your sales background, massive deals, etc. How and why did you end up in coaching and sort of doing what you do? And then we'll talk about the Brilliance Summit as well, the Brilliance Summit.
Yeah, thank you. So how did the morphing? I basically, and it's just anybody hopefully not going to create any trauma, but I had a miscarriage and I just said, I'm not going to lose another baby, because I got pregnant straight away and I left. Right. And then I was like, what I was going to do. And I had clients, ex-client coming. In fact, one of my biggest clients coming in saying, hey, some of them were setting their business together and they wanted some support for me. And I was like, okay, I can do some sales support for you. And so I started kind of sales and business consulting. I did a coaching course back in 2004. Like, I've been at this gig for 20 years. Doing business coaching, morphed into that and realized I'm doing a lot of work with the actual leaders, right? I'm working with a business owner or with the leader and having to lot of the work was having to work on their own confidence, their own
Right.
self, because it bleeds into the business, right?
Yeah.
You don't believe it, it has an impact on what you do, how you do it. It has a big impact
Mm-hmm.
people that you have working for you. You don't have clarity. Clarity came into it, like the clarity and everything. So
Mm.
I realized that, and I've always had this thing about confidence. So honest to goodness, doesn't matter where I am, and this has been going on for a very long time, decades. People tell me things like they'll tell me. I get so much information. It's not even funny. I've been stopped in the street and asked questions about, what do you think of this? And I'm like a random black woman standing here, putting my shopping in the car. Like, what?
Oh gosh.
And so I realized, and again, I think one of the things that I say this, especially if I'm talking to people who run their own business, which is
Yeah.
there's a point where you have to put a stake in the ground. And I was touching a lot of different things, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, stake in the ground. What do I really want to do? And this word confidence kept coming back up, and
Right.
clarity. And people said, you're quite empowering. And so I found these three words were clarity, confidence, and empowerment. And I
Right.
want to work with leaders on theirs. And so notably about, I don't know, I put that stake in the ground maybe around 10 years ago, where I
Yeah.
said, that's it. Because I
Right.
touched a lot of things,
Yeah.
because I could definitely do a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And I've continued to do my own CPD, but
Yeah.
and I've built this business word of mouth, and yeah. So the truth of the matter is, you still need to be able to sell, right? And
Yeah.
what you need to be able to sell. I say this all the time. Life's a sales pitch. You need to be able to sell yourself, whether that's into a role, whether that's into a promotion, whether that's you working as business, working with clients. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it's kind of linked.
That's the first takeaway from this morning. Life is a sales pitch. It really is. Life is a sales pitch. I mean, you were talking there, clarity, confidence, empowerment. I love that. Clarity, confidence, empowerment. And Kareen Griffiths, good morning. Morning. It's Friday morning, Kareen. For anybody that doesn't know, so Kareen, I remember, I'm probably going back now a couple of years ago. Kareen used to be on a regular weekly catch up for the BTAs. This is like a couple of years back. And I'll never forget Kareen bursting into song. And the song was The Water is Troubled, my friends. Those that know,
I know that
if you know,
one.
you know.
Morning,
So,
Amina.
yeah, morning, Amina. It's Friday and you have FOMO. Oh, you can get the start. You rewind back. You can get the start of it. Okay, so that's how you got into coaching. Why women? That was the second thing I wanted to ask, and then we'll get into some of the stuff that I mentioned in the post. The glass ceiling and some of the challenges. Why focus on women? And obviously you got the Brilliance Summit.
Yes, yeah.
The amazing event for women, which next year is the 26th of June. Is that right?
Yeah, and early bird tickets are available now.
Early bird tickets are available.
So you can go to brilliancesummit.com. So,
so why women? Why women?
I think, look, I am morphed into women. Women kept coming to me, and I'm the youngest of 6 girls, and that
Right.
me, yeah. So, and that means that we used to be called. My dad used to. People used to call us the Amazons, right? The Amazon women. And
Right.
so I'm lucky from the extent that I have 5 sisters who are older than me. Like there's 10 years between me and my elder sister, and everyone else is in between. And so my mum was really very, very strong, very confident.
Okay.
And I think I have this perchance for women, right? That I want us to step into what we're more than capable of. And I'm not saying that there aren't women that are. There are loads of women that are. But I think the things that we have around, whether it's confidence or I think it's actually worthiness and self-assurance. I mean, self-assurance is part of confidence, but
Yeah.
for us to really step into it, because I truly believe that when we as women come together and work together, and we don't all have to be best friends, and it doesn't all have to be sisterhood. But when we start looking to protect us and to build us, then we can change the balance, the imbalance that there is in this world. We're almost 50% of the world's population, yet we're still struggling with patriarchy. So for me, I want women and women in leadership to have the support that they need in order for them to thrive. And the word thrive is really important for me. I think we talk too much about survival. I want us to thrive. And if we're really honest, the men at the top have got coaches. They're in all the membership clubs. They've got their therapists. They've got, do you know what I mean? They've got all that support.
Yeah.
And I think that may not always be the case for the women sitting at the top.
Yeah.
And it's a place at times.
Yeah. And do you know what, as you were saying as well, when you were saying, the men at the top have got, therapists, coaches, in my mind, I started thinking, it's their wives, right?
Oh, this is why I am not pro the 5% club. 5 a.m. club. I cannot get up at 5 a.m. That's a.m. and not going all day. That's the first thing.
Often it's their wives that are like, that are their support team, right?
That's why they can. That's why they can. So that's, I just feel like my heart just says difference comes when we stand up and work to make a difference for us. And the more of us that do that, the better.
Okay. Amazing. And we've got some people joining. I can't see all of the names because of the technology, but somebody has said good morning from Birmingham. So good morning to whoever that is. Good morning, Sunaina Coley. How are you doing? And Naisha as well. Naisha going, good morning. Right. So one of the first questions I want to ask, because we've got an election coming up.
Yes,
not in the UK, obviously, but for anybody, I know it's probably too early for anybody in the US to be on now, but something, and I mentioned this to you just before we came on. Why do you think the US has never had a woman president?
Honest patriarchy. I think that without a doubt, and I don't think it's about color at all. I think it's about it being a woman. And I remember reading a book quite some time ago. I can't remember what it was called. I love a novel, and but it was definitely based on the life of a Quaker woman who was part of the movement for emancipation, the emancipation of slaves. And at the time, she had actually asked, can we also do this for women? And it was like, no, we can't do that. Just one thing at a time, that can wait. I think that's the message that we get all the time. One thing at a time, that can wait. I don't think there's I think we also have a Bible Belt that is evangelical Christians who, not all, but there are definitely a belt that is keen on patriarchy. And and the other thing is about that, I think we need to be really honest about it, is that, and there are women upholding that patriarchy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why we can't get rid of it. And so I think that there is still this mentality, and it's across, it's not just US, which is that we're not capable enough, that we're not strong enough, that, you just imagine you were saying to this woman that because she hasn't had children, she couldn't possibly be a president. Like, how ridiculous. I mean, many single women are great, inverted commas, mothers to other women's children. And also there's many mothers, let's just be clear, who aren't mothers to their children. So I think that there's still this real, it's heavy, this thing about patriarchy. And we look at some of the things that happen, the laws that are being revoked. It's actually about peeling back women's rights, because I think men feel very much under threat. And I think especially white men feel under threat, especially since the global majority are waking up and going, hold on a second, no, we're not doing this anymore. But also the global majority are having more children. They have more younger people than white people do in general, where they are in the world. So I think the real thing about it is, what does that mean, and how much power, because I think this is about power, how much power lose when we give it over to a woman, and what
Yeah.
does that say to other women about what's possible?
Yeah. Very interesting. I feel like I should ask you for your prediction: Trump or Kamala?
Oh, do not ask me like that. I really don't know. It's really funny. I think
Okay.
I was having a friend, so with the lovely Kim Crowder, if many of you might follow her on LinkedIn. So we had a chat this week. We had a catch up, and we were talking about it. And she was saying, "Listen, there is a lot of push for Kamala in the states, including Republicans,
Yeah.
and so what we're seeing is the sensational headlines. I
Mm,
I don't know. I mean, I'm stunned by the supporters of Trump." Um, and the women who are supporting Trump. I could not call this, and the reason why I call it is because I think he's a man who'll do anything to be in power. So, and that means that by any means necessary.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and on that note, so let's get back to, you were saying something about the barriers that have stopped, maybe like, say, for example, why there hasn't been a
Yeah,
woman US president. And I'm bringing it back to kind of like the, the world of kind of women achieving generally. I was having a conversation this week. In fact, was it yesterday? No, Wednesday, with the Women's Network. And
mm.
we were saying that even though, in a lot of organizations, it appears as though women are making a lot of progress, but still they're not quite getting into those, like the very, very senior levels, right? So this comes now to this whole thing about, the glass ceiling, etc. Do we think, is the glass ceiling still a thing? The
Yeah,
glass cliff,
definitely.
all of that stuff. Yeah, your thoughts?
The glass ceiling's still a cliff.
Yeah.
The glass cliff
Yeah.
is still there. The glass ceiling's still there. The one in, one out is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
still there.
Explain the glass cliff for anybody that's watching
Yeah,
that
so the
maybe
glass
doesn't know, hasn't
cliff
heard of
is
that.
a situation where what happens is a company will only take a woman on when it's all gone bad. So, okay, let me give you an example. Okay, so let's look at like John Lewis. I cannot remember this lady's name, but John Lewis in
Sharon White.
trouble. Cheryl White, and actually intersectional. So we've got double whammy here. She's also a black woman, comes and takes over to solve their problem, really, of coming through COVID, now trying to reestablish, and also all of these companies are up against online, they're up against China, they're up against all of
Yeah.
these things. So we bring her in and it's like, okay, you come in whilst we're in trouble to fix it. And everything you do, we are going to make an issue because, well, that's not, the revolt. That's not how we do this. We're not happy with
Yeah.
that. But change, and in order to fix a problem, means that sometimes you've got to cut. Sometimes you've got to make deep cuts in different ways. You have to maybe change your strategy. There's so many different things that you might need to do. But we put a woman in there and make her the problem as opposed to the problem that the organization is. So even though she's hit the top, she can't fly because we've tethered her wings. And so
Yeah.
what happens is she gets there, yay, and then Dave drops off the cliff. The next thing you know, they've
Yeah.
sacked her, replaced her with a man.
Yeah.
But maybe everything that she put in place, they may now take on board because a man said
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah.
And what
It's
one of the things here is that we will excuse men's mistakes, but we don't excuse women's mistakes. We hold them to a
yeah.
higher standard. And
Yeah.
again, that becomes even higher when we look at intersectionality.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't have said it best myself, basically. Yeah, the glass cliff is real. So it was Sharon White at John Lewis. And I'll never forget, not long before she sort of like stepped down, I heard an interview that Evan Davis on Radio 4. I listen to a lot of Radio 4, right, because I'm old.
I
So
like
Evan Davis Evan Davis was doing the bottom line and was doing an interview with Sharon White. And it was the most, I like Evan Davis, right? But it was the most disrespectful,
yeah,
pointed interview I had ever seen him do with
yeah,
anyone. And I've watched him do a lot of interviews. And I thought I need to complain. Like, this is outrageous. And I think you're absolutely right. Had it not been a brown woman, would that interview have played out like that? So yeah, that's the glass cliff. Brilliant. The other thing I wanted to talk about, the broken rung. We're talking about this. There was a McKinsey lean-in survey a couple of years ago that said actually, maybe it's not always the glass ceiling, maybe it's the broken rung, as in lower down in the organization. So once women come in, they're all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and then they go for that first promotion. That's where they already start to receive the knockbacks. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, I think that's quite true. I think, look, and I'm going to also say this, one of the things I experienced this, which was you get promoted, but nobody's taught you how to be a manager. It's like instant promotion. And then you're judged by the fact that you're the thing that you don't quite know how to do, and then given a hard time about it. And certainly more of a hard time than men may be given about it. And actually, we will allow bad behavior from men, ongoing, and maybe sometimes a subsection of women, but certainly. And I think one of the problems as well that we have is that when we get into leadership positions, and I'm going to say this, and what happens is that we have responsibility, but we don't have power. They are two very different things. We have lots of responsibility, and often many more roles than the role that we were actually supposed to be in. Might be given another section, another role, another this, but we don't have power. We may not have budgetary power. We may not have we may be at the table but not listened to at the table. And we may not have the contacts that we need. Or the and so we have lots of responsibility. But the power to do something, we don't have it.
So my next, and as soon as you said that, like, you could probably see my eyes, the cogs behind my eyes. How do women get that power? Because this leads on to my next question in terms of, what it is that holds women back. So when women don't have that power, and some of that is, it's bias, it's patriarchy, it's perceptions, it's all of those things. How do women get that power? How do they influence and navigate,
Yeah, I think the first thing is you've got to recognize the difference yourself. And then also I think the thing is understanding what your role comes with, or what it should come with. I hear people go, I don't want the I'm not here for the money. Well, sorry, I wanted to say. I'm like,
bleeping should be,
bleeping should be, right? Because that role carries a particular amount of money, and then because again, power, you're underpaid from the beginning, so then that also makes me not feel that I'm as equal. I'm doing all the things, but I'm not equal. The unworthiness, and I think sometimes as well we kind of go, oh, can't believe I'm here, and so. I don't like to kind of get in the trope of women don't have confidence, but I do think that there is something about us and our value and understanding our value. That's not just finance, that's a financial value there. That's actually our personal value. That's our value within the room. We also need evangelists. You need people in the room who are going to back it, or people outside of the room. And sometimes we're not looking high enough. We need sponsors. So, and that's not begging the organization for a sponsor. Take the power back and go and find yourself a sponsor. That sponsor doesn't have to be within your organization, for example, because that person can give you the keys. Sometimes we don't have the keys to the kingdom. We don't know what we don't know. And many of us are going into the roles not understanding about the power plays. Also understand we need to be going into the meeting already having meetings, had meetings. The meetings before the meetings. So we are walking into rooms often not knowing what people really think, assuming we should be going into meetings before that with those members, understanding where they stand on the issues, or they stand on my issues, seeing whether or not we can garner support. These are the things that we do to be able to get power. We're still going, oh, I'm going in to have this conversation, and everybody is not understanding everybody else has had the meeting before the meeting.
These
are some of the things that I think are really important for us to be able to do in order to be pulling back power, and again is know your worth. And that means you also need to be logging what you've done and how you've done it. Stop waiting for other people to tell you we're great at it. You need to do it. Stop waiting for things like performance reviews to know whether or not we're doing a great job. We should know that. So going into every room with the evidence of our confidence, the evidence of what we hit, means that we're not having to guess. When we're thrown, sorry, I know I'm going on, but this is sort of get a bit when we are thrown but I'm not sure you've really been hitting this, we should be able to bam with the stats, bam with this is what of the projects we've delivered successfully. Like, evidence is your best friend, and it's posting if you have the receipts. So those receipts also are able for you to elevate, but you need to be socializing those receipts as well. And we don't want to, can be a bit bashful, or it feels like we're bragging, and we don't want to be pushing ourselves up. But and we need to, in the right ways with the right people. That might be that we need to do a news bulletin about what our department's been doing and how we've done it. It might we're having 30 minutes a month with the CEO, so that we can actually have his ear. He understands what we're doing, or she understands what we're doing. So those are the things. And secondly, think about succession planning. You will not be in this job all the time, but also always be interviewing. Always be interviewing. We leave ourselves at the mercy of an organization. I've been here for 15 years and I haven't really been able to get where I wanted to go. And I'm like, well, that's because you've taught them how to treat you, though, because you think by taking on everything that somebody will notice your greatness. No, you just dug yourself in a hole that nobody wants to take you out of. So I think also do your job, stop doing everybody else's. This is my rant.
Do you know what, Madeline, you covered like about 5 points in there. You were like bam, bam, bam. Anybody, that was like a free coaching session, right? So anybody that's watching this, I wrote that.
Sorry. And one of my clients, she said that that a woman had said to her when she was in New York, she said, what's one thing I should do? She said, do not own every problem in the room. And I think this is a really important message for women. Do not own every problem in the room, because you think, I need to prove myself. I'm going to quick story. I'm going to say we need to. We also. Oh God, this is what happens at 55. It's gone. I'll come back at some stage.
It'll come back. I'm going to quickly whiz through, and then you'll have remembered that story. The sponsorship piece. Critical. Whether, as you say, whether it's formal or informal or whatever, understanding how you can get people that have got your back when you're in the room, when you're not, more importantly, when you're not in the room, actually, that's what you need. And I'll never forget, I'm going to say maybe about 18 months ago, when I was at a women's networking thing, and this young Black woman came up to me and said, afterwards, after the panel event, she said, oh, but where do I find a sponsor? Because there's no senior women here that look like me. And I was like, who said they need to look like you? Right?
Absolutely.
You need this. You were right in terms of, you said, we need to go higher. Yes. I say go as high as possible. And if there's a white man, great, right, that has some clout on the board that is going to stand up for you, perfect, right? That's where you want to get
Can I add one thing to that about sponsorship as well?
Go ahead.
And including mentorship, and that is, do not make it a one-way street. And what I mean by that is this: if you're going, be succinct with what you want, be very clear about what you want from them, and then ask them how you can help them, right? Whether that might be, look, is there something I can do to support you, right? Because people want to help, but people hate takers.
Yeah. I always say with sponsors, you want to be able to show that you can add value to the organization. And also, sponsors love it when you make them look good, right? So something about whatever they're, whether they're sponsoring a particular strategic objective or whatever it be, is there a way that you can align what you deliver with what they're doing? And actually then there's a perfect synergy. They then get to see that you can deliver, you've got the goods, and they're happy to back you up, right? When they go into a room, that is the ideal. What else did you say? Logging your achievement, getting receipts, getting feedback from people, whether it's emails, this, that, and the other. I loved your idea about, like a newsletter for your department or whatever, regular catch-ups with the CEO or C-suite. And all of that helps to build your confidence as well, right? So that you're not going into these rooms timid, like, oh, I don't know whether I'm good at my job, imposter syndrome, all of that. Logging those receipts really helps with that stuff, right? The imposter syndrome.
Can I just say
Yeah,
on the
amazing.
imposter syndrome, sometimes I also think the imposter syndrome isn't about imposter syndrome, it's about the environment. The environment makes an imposter. Secondly, of course you may feel like an imposter if you keep taking on everything that's not yours. Like when you take up space that isn't yours because you want to take on a project because you want to show your value, what happens is overloaded your plate. Some of that plate is with things that aren't really your thing. And there's somebody over there who's great at it. Let them do it. Stop feeling I'm so busy. I'm stressed out, burnt out, busy. Stop taking on everything. Is it your job? And I'm not saying that you won't do extra things. I'm just saying do them because they're strategic, make strategic sense for you.
Yeah. Let's talk about women. We were talking about this before. We said let's talk about women and sometimes the competition and why women are sometimes like, I'll get involved in that. I want to do that. And all of a sudden one person's doing one part and then another woman's like, I want to do that as well. Just talk a bit about that. It's not often talked about, competition amongst senior women. Let's just tell it as it is, Madeline.
I think the biggest problem that we have as women, I think, again, I want to go bleep patriarchy. I think that one of the biggest challenges that we have is each other. We are way into competition, and you can ask most women and ask them, who made your life hell at work? Don't get me wrong, they may say it's a man, but often vast majority of the day it was another woman who made their life difficult, who challenged everything that they did, who isolated them, who weaponized their tears against them. And can I also include HR in that? Sadly, HR is full of women, and sadly, sometimes HR is there to protect the organization, but there are some practices that are just outrageous, and don't protect women. Pregnant women coming back, sometimes their female manager makes their life very difficult. Their child's exceptionally sick. I know child sick in hospital, and the woman who was the CPO was like, well, you've just been off. So what's that? You can't, like, hold on, my child's in critical care in hospital. And I think one of the things is just for us to recognize that we need to recognize watchmen. I'm not saying all men, but watchmen, they bandy together, right? They bandy together. They support
the bro code.
But they have a bro code. We need a women's code.
We
do. You need a women's code. And it doesn't mean to say that, again, that every woman you meet is going to be your best mate. That is not it. But what I am saying is champion, each other. Maybe take a side and say, listen, this is how how you can make this happen. I think that, so this broken rung is often women can get up there, get to the top, and then what may happen is, not everybody, but certainly a good section, they burn the ladder, they cut the strings on the elevator, and they stop the escalator on flat, so that you can't actually climb it, right? And so it's like, let's just stop doing that, because actually if we did bandy together and then made, again, succession planning, rather than, I'm the only one and I'm going to hold this position till Jesus comes, actually, what can we do to make sure that we have a range of women? This happens, then we impact the hiring processes of how we hire women, and that we hire women at higher levels, not just hiring them at the bottom. I just feel we can stop being, it's like the only one in the room, and then they ignore you like you don't exist. Share the nuggets, share what we can do so that we can do. That's what, to be honest, the Brilliance Summit is about. Women in leadership. Basically, I believe this: you need to leverage your personal development for your professional success. If you're not doing the personal development, you don't know how to leverage what you have to get where you're capable of going. And that's what it's a how-tos conference
Yeah.
by women, from women, your women in leadership. Because I just believe that the more we share the nuggets of the how-tos, the more of us can do something different.
And in terms of like supporting each other the bro code is real. Like I could do like a whole LinkedIn live just on that. But there's a really good, I don't know, anybody that's read the Barack Obama book, the one that he's written, since he was president, his first memoir.
Yeah.
There's a really good story in there. You can probably find it somewhere, but it's about some of the women. So not long after, he'd gotten into the White House, some of the women, went to speak to him about the fact that, when it came to meetings and stuff like that, they were always getting interrupted, over-talked, people stealing their ideas, etc. And he took the feedback on board, but one of the other learns out of it, what the women started doing for each other was basically amplifying each other's voices in meetings. So if a woman had said something, they would say, oh, like Madeline said, that would be a great, do you know what I mean? Like amplifying each other's voices. And we can do that. We don't need to wait for men as allies and all that, blah, blah, blah. So if you're in an organization and there are other senior women and you see some of the behaviors in meetings that, support each other, amplify each other's voices,
Yeah. Tony, can I just stop you there? Cheryl was speaking. We need to hear what she was saying. Just do it.
Exactly.
Just take a moment. Sorry, what was that, Cheryl? Cheryl, hold on, Tony. Cheryl did just say that.
Yeah.
So, she did just say that. Like, and this is why the confidence piece is important. It's because your voice matters. And I think you said it's about your worth and your value. Your voice matters. Can I also just pick up something that you just said as well?
Sure.
Which was, it's happened again. I told you I don't do this in the morning. Which was about ideas. I had this experience. I was working for an organization in sales as a sales consultant, and one of the other consultants said, "Oh, can we go for lunch?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go for lunch. You having a chat? Yeah. So how do you think we should? What are you gonna do to get your clients in?" And I said, "Okay, these are my ideas. This is what I think we should do." Came back from lunch. He went off to meet with the manager. And I was sitting there, and then the manager came out and said to me, "Madeline, I think he's got some great ideas. He said this, da, 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 da." And I was sitting there like, "I beg your pardon? You what now?" And at that point, it's difficult to go, "They are my ideas," because you sound like a child, even though they are your ideas, right?
Yeah.
And so my just another tip is stop sharing your ideas. Oh, I've got some I've been thinking about that. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I've got a few ideas that are in. Oh, what are they? Well, I've not really conceptualized them yet. What do you think? I get really good at going, what do you think? Because then they will take it and then they will run with it. Stop sharing it, because some of the sharing as well is about your value. And I know it. I can look back and go, oh, I wanted him to recognize that I really knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Ran with it.
Yeah, you do have to sometimes be careful, like who you trust, who those trusted sources are. But linking back to, something you said about have meetings before you go into the meeting, right? So I've always said this. And so if you're going into the board to present a case or something, meet with the key individuals in there, even if they disagree with you. In fact, especially the ones that you think are going to disagree, because you want to know what they're going to say. And then, you might actually be able to work it out and get a better solution. Or then when you go into the room, you can say, I know Jack's got an issue with such and such. Jack, do you want to just explain what it is? And you've actually you've almost like you've been the bigger person, and you've probably already got an answer for what their issue is, right?
Yeah, and also Jack goes, "Oh,
yeah,"
because this is part of relationship thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whether he likes it or not, he has to appreciate your game, whether he likes it or not, right? But even just understanding, okay, so and again, one of the things I think is the most important thing is questions, and getting your open questions, your closed questions. And what's the difference? Open questions are the who, what, where, why, when, and how. Those questions are, I call them the 6 ladies that get answers. You cannot just say no to that. You have to think about a response, right?
Yeah.
And so being able, I mean, you might get an I don't know, but being able to ask those questions. What do you think about this? Well, what's your reasoning for that? Where does that come from? What's the problem that you're experiencing? How are you looking at fixing it? Who do you think you're going to look at to work with on that particular project? You know, and being able to ask these questions gets you information. That's what they're for, discovery, information, is the sales girl in me, and information. So we get that. And then you can ask your close questions that are you, do you, could you, should you, would, which is, okay, so if you were to do that, would that be blah, blah, blah? Or if I was to do this, would that be enough for me to get a yes from you for this? Right? And so, which is, we're now in a bit of a negotiation, but also we're going into meetings sometimes with no idea of what the meeting is about. I want an agenda. And then what I want to do is, what are we aiming to achieve by the end of the meeting? Great question. 2 workers are coming out of meetings with no idea what that meeting was about. We should be looking to drive change so we have clarity, so we can hit what we need to do.
I love
with
that.
impact.
Yeah, that was a mini masterclass in meeting prep. There, I want to see that. I want to see that masterclass, because how you show up in meetings is at a senior level. It's almost everything, right? It's almost more than getting your job done. I know it sounds crazy, but I sometimes call them impactful interactions. You know, because people really take note of how you show up. Yeah, that was quality, right?
Sorry, last one.
Yeah.
Do not do the minutes. Don't. I hate minutes.
Oh,
I don't do them. Just say, oh, that's not my skill. That's not my skill.
No,
Bob, that is not my skill. Not me. I think Tony's much better doing the meetings than me.
Oh, look at this. Joanna says so many nuggets. Off to book my Brilliance conference ticket. This Brilliance Summit, man. This is some serious brilliance, because we haven't even been going for 40 odd minutes of Madeline's nuggets, and I feel like you lot have gotten like value upon value. We're going to just explain, because you work with individuals and organizations though, don't you, as well? So for example, I do, so this week and last week, I've been speaking to a lot of women's networks in particular, because they are often, they're rolling out development programs and all of that sort of thing. So just explain about the sort of women and the sort of levels, etc., that you work with as well.
So there's a few I can actually tell.
You don't need to name the organizations, it's fine.
Okay.
Don't embarrass anybody.
CMO level, COO level.
Come on, Tony, get your pad and pen out.
You have to say that in a Midlands accent. It doesn't sound the same if it's not. As you don't know, I'm actually originally from Leicester. And because now I'm speaking to somebody from Birmingham, you really hear it. It comes out. I get to junction 19 on that.
That's not my skill. Come on, Tony. That's not my skill. Come on, Tony. Get your pad and pen out.
Oh dear! What are you doing, Tony? Take the minute, Tony. Sort yourself out, Tony. So heads of, directors. They're the kind of level that I tend to work with, so organizations. So I do a lot of work in Admar comms, finance, tech. So the Googles, Meta,
the hard what, like the sectors where it's a hard nut to crack, right?
Yeah. I think those are my 3 babies in general, but I might do something interior retail, and sometimes that may not be one-to-one coaching. That might be going in, delivering a workshop. That might be going and doing a speech. So that's what I do.
Amazing. So we're going to be wrapping it up. I know we've gone slightly over, but it was such a great conversation. It's Friday. We ain't got nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. I don't work with clients on Friday, so although I have coaching session.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no, this was
I don't see it on
amazing though. So to anybody that's watching, apart from obviously, you know, if anybody hasn't checked out the Brilliance Summit for next year, 26th of June, 2025, just some final tips for some of the women that are watching in terms of, you know, just you know, how you can just really sort of energize them and inspire them on this Friday morning.
Okay, so there's two phrases that come to mind. One, David uses a lot, my husband, David McQueen. So the first one is you deserve to be here, wherever here is for you. You deserve it.
Yeah.
Like, stop second
Yeah.
guessing yourself. You got through all the interviews. You know, you were picked because you could do this. And even if you were a diversity hire, you still needed to be of the level to be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
So you deserve to be here. And that's a quite
Yeah.
thing to remind yourself. I deserve to be here. And one that has an affirmation that has stayed me for the last 20 years is I am enough. I am enough. You are enough.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter, if you really want my nugget, it's all mindset. It's what you believe. If you don't believe you can, then you won't. If you spend most of your time focused on perfectionism or whatever, these are the things that impact you and they undermine you. And I will say, stop feeding the monster. The monster is that negative self-talk. Stop feeling it, feeding it. Stop saying, oh, this sounds so stupid. That was this. Most people don't really care. In all honesty, most people are more concerned in their own self-talk than they are about you. So I really think for me, and feel empowered and do things that empower you as well. And stop taking on tasks that are not your tasks. Don't get me wrong, we've all got mundane things that we have to do. But in general, do things that light your fire, right? Because that's when you shine the brightest. That's where you know, if you know when you, I'm a bit of a what's it called, paramaniac. I'm a bit of a paramaniac. In the Dave has now adopted this, so he's always burning something in the garden. But I really like fire, not from the point of touching, but I like creating it and watching it. Right.
Okay.
And there are different things you add to a fire are going to have an impact on how that fire burns, right?
Right.
You might add a clump of wood that's actually a little bit damp. You put that, it's kind of mainly out it. We're going to get lots of kind of greeny grey smoke, but not real fire, right? You add kindling, or you add my daughter's call, what do they call it? Something juice, which is when I use lighter fuel, right? And you're just going to see, wow, or you add a good piece of wood that is dried up properly, and it lights up and it sustains, right? Because that's the other thing about the things that are short, sharp, and the other things that sustain a fire.
Right.
You wake up in the morning and what lights your fire and what can light your fire continuously, as opposed to, sometimes we do fireworks, and I know I can do this. We should get really excited. Yeah, big excited. And then like people out. And right? And that you don't need to be a firework. What you need is this consistent pride. I know that I like
I love that. I love that
log of wood that is going to burn consistently, but also burn brightly. And that also means, when it comes to fires, but it also means to you that sometimes if you know what billows are, there's the thing that you put air into to make the fire brighter. Is that means you need to also find people, find things that add oxygen to you so that you can continue to burn brightly. Stop trying to do it just on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I wrote down the three things. So first of all, you deserve to be here. You are enough. And then you don't need to be a firework. And I was taking that board. I was like, Cheryl, you don't need to be a firework.
Yeah, you don't.
Absolutely love that. Madeline, my final question for you is, when is the book coming out? Because I'm sorry, but
Okay, so I have a book proposal that's in place. I did the the Hay House have like a diversity thing that I did for
okay.
I was selected to do that. I need to review my book proposal, tighten it up, and then send it back to them, and then see or wherever it wants to go. So I don't know. I think it might be a 2020, end of 2025, maybe beginning of
Okay.
2026. Who knows? But there will be
Sure.
one. I just need to
I
get it
would
done.
buy that book for sure. No, this has been absolutely amazing. And Emma's kind of sums it up. Thanks for this morning. You've totally set me up for a great day with some fire.
Yay! Love that.
Yeah,
Love
it's
that.
been
Thank
good.
you.
It's been really
Thank you all
good.
for being here. It's just wonderful to have so many of you on.
Yeah. Madeline, thank you so much. I know it was an early start, but it was worth it, right?
It was great to you. And I can just say the Brilliance Summit is www.thebrilliancesummit.com. That's it.
Thebrilliantsummit.com. And where is it best for people to connect with you? Here on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is fine, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can find
Cool.
my website is MadelineMcQueen.com. There are no extra I's and E's in my name. It literally is made line. And you can LinkedIn is really the place that I tend to hang out. I have an
Yeah.
Instagram, which is the Madeline McQueen. I think I'm HRH, Madeline
Yeah.
McQueen on Facebook.
HRH.
But that's only because I've been
Yeah.
given that now. I just
I
don't know
love
why I
it.
do it, but I don't actually.
Yeah.
That's been given to me. So yeah, they're the best places, and I'm Madeline at MadelineMcQueen.com.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, there will be. So Harriet, will there be a replay? You can, I think if you're watching this, then you can, you can go back to the start and you'll be able to watch the whole thing. Morning, Debbie. Thank you. Wish I could have heard your wisdom years ago. Oh, well, the best time was years ago. The second best time is now, right? So it's all
Absolutely. And
good.
also,
It's
I
all
think
good.
the other thing about this is nothing's wasted. Because
Yeah.
it's really easy to kind of go, oh, I shoulda. Nothing's wasted.
Yeah.
Maybe you needed to learn the things that you learned on the journey so that this hits now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. All right. Thank you again, Madeline. Thank you for everybody that's been with us live. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for taking, 52 minutes out of your day to watch this as well. It's been amazing. Go into the weekend with grace. I hope you all have a good one. Thanks again, Madeline.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a
All right.
blast. It really has. Have a great day, everyone.
I'll see you all next week. Bye.